This is more like what self-heal looks like. Where it branches off, each little thing gets a cone on it until the top one gets pretty good size and has flowers on it. They're little purple flowers with upper lobed lip and a lower lip. Very beautiful plant, very useful. I've pulled this, and so I'm going to take it home and use it. I'm going to collect some. Just going to pull out as much as I can get. It's one of my favorite plants. Take a little handful. I'm not being too picky here. There's people around and I'm at the park. You're not supposed to pick flowers at the park. This is some really good, useful medicine, though, as you'll see in my video. So normally it gets pretty big like this. That's just half of it. The beautiful plant. I love it. Now that I've gotten home, I've kind of rinsed this off a little bit, dried it off a little bit, and now I'm going to lay it out to dry. If I had a lot, I do have dehydrators. I could put it in the dehydrator to dry it out. Wouldn't take no time at all. But in the house, it's pretty dry and warm. Even though I have an air conditioner on, it will dry out within the next couple of days. This is self-heal. As you can tell, it has opposite leaves and this one lone flower on the top. I'm hoping you can see that. Sometimes it'll get some down here, but this plant will get very, very tall if you leave it alone. Like I said, I'm working in the park, picking flowers in the park. That's a no-no. Anyways, this is one of the best plants I've ever found. It's called Self-Heal. I think I've said it a million times. It's in the Lamiaceae family. Once this dries out, which I'm just going to lay here on the counter for a while and let it dry out. This I'll probably bag, but what I did was I took some and I added it to some olive oil. Olive oil is a good base to put your herbals in. It's very nice on the skin, antibiotic, anti-fungical. Anyways, I'm going to make some salve. This salve will be used for sunburns, cuts. My cats like to claw me up. I use it on that whenever it starts bleeding. This particular salve will stop small cuts and bleeds very quickly in a salve form. And I'm going to use it for that. I don't need a lot because it's just me. I'll give a little bit of this to my granddaughter because she sunburns easily, and this will feel nice on a sunburn and help it heal. Anyways, this will only take a couple of days to actually dry out, even on my countertop here. And my house is very dry. This will give you a better idea of the look of that plant. And it'll keep branching off like that until eventually each end will have a nice little spire of flowers on it. I'm hoping you can see that really good. It's a beautiful plant. One that your grandkids will look at and go, "Oh, Grandma, can I pick that flower?" This can be used internally and externally. I've used it in many, many different types of teas. I've actually made a herbal tea using some of this for the leveling out of female hormones in the teenage years when they start going crazy. You know what I mean. Anyways, this plant is very useful all the way around. I have read in a couple of places that they used it back during the Civil War. This and its sister plant called woundwort. The self-heal was used internally, taken as a pill, chewed up. The woundwort was stuffed down into the bullet holes to stop the bleeding. It was dried and powdered, and the doctors on the front lines would have it in their kits. At least that's what I've read. I really don't know, but I could see that. This plant has stopped skin from blistering after a burn. And I mean, I saw a really bad grease burn on someone, and they took some fresh woundwort and self-heal that they had in their backyard, stuck it in their blender with water, proceeded to blend it up, got some paper towels out and some plastic wrap, and dumped this self-heal water, plant and all, over their arm. So it's a really thin paste, put paper towels over top of it, dumped more of this watery stuff on top of that, and wrapped it in plastic and taped it up. And believe it or not, within about an 8-day span of time, there was nothing showing on the arm as to a burn. Just amazing. A lot of the things that this plant will do is just amazing to me. And then I've got just some cheesecloth over top of an empty jar with a rubber band around the top of it. I got my jars ready to go, and they're already labeled. My beeswax, my jar to strain, and so now we're going to get started. This is so simple. I've got a little bit of water in the pan. I'm going to turn my fire up on high. I have a gas stove here. I'm going to turn it up on high, cover it up with a lid, wait on it to boil. Okay, so maybe 5 minutes later, it's starting to boil. I'm going to loosen the lid on my jar just a little bit. I really don't want this to seal, but I know it's going to seal somewhat. So, I'm just planning on heating this up a little bit. I'm going to turn my heat back down very carefully. This is not cold. It's been sitting out. I'm just going to set my jar in there and let it warm up a little bit. Maybe 5 minutes. Now the oil in this jar is pretty hot. So I've got a towel around it. I'm just going to start dumping it all in here to strain it. Now that I've got it all in the cheesecloth, I'm not going to worry about the rubber band. I'm going to grab the ends and pull it in. It's cooled down a little bit, so it won't be so hot on my hands. And now I'm just going to squeeze it to release all of the oils and anything else that the herb itself might be giving me. I used olive oil. Usually I use coconut oil. I'm using the olive oil this time because we're talking about a sunburn. That's what I'm making this for. But I've got tons of olive oil. That's the other reason. We're going to set it back in the water. Keep it hot. And a little bit at a time, I'm going to add my beeswax. I have a little stirrer here. This is going to go everywhere. So I should have put it in a cup. Start dropping it in there. Okay with that because it'll be easier to apply to the skin if it's more of a lotion type deal. Return this to the heat it back up, and stir while it's warming up. I'm hoping you can see that. Here's the finished product on the self-heal salve. It ought to be pretty stiff, and it'll be really soft for your skin. And it'll heal cuts and abrasions, things like that, stop bleeding.